the day things go wrong, nothing can help you. It's just your own inner self, But the day you need it most, there's no one who's going to be around you. It's your training, your discipline. Our last match which we did in Kilimanjaro, we had more females than males in the climb. And other thing is, in the mountains don't know whether you are a male, a female, you're a 70-year-old or a 12-year-old. So everything is same, right? Everybody is going on Everest, understand that there are about 200 bodies on the Everest, not decomposed because of the conditions. If you want to do something from your heart, then this is the thing which can relate,
You're watching Health Spark, and we have with us Lieutenant Colonel Romil, and he served in the army for 26 years, and then now he runs a company. Would I call it a company, or what would I call it?
It's a company.
It's a company, which basically trains people in trekking, mountaineering, and other things. So thanks a lot, Romil, for joining us today. First of all, my basic question: what inspired you to do it? What inspired you to become a mountaineer?
Pranjal, so in my case, as you mentioned, I joined the army 26 years back, 1994. So army, considering the deployments and all, mostly it's in the mountains because of our friendly neighbors.
Yes.
So once you're there, you get a feel of mountains. Then once you come back to cities like Delhi, so much of pollution and all, so you want to go back to the mountains time and again. Slowly developed, and there was a time wherein I was leading the army team for the Everest in 2019.
Okay.
And once you do adventures like that, then normal life becomes too boring, and that's when I realized that mountains are, as people generally say, calling. So that's where it happened, and then I joined this company, Boots and Crampons, and then since then we've been climbing all around the world.
Right. So you just mentioned that you were leading the team of the army for the Everest in 2019. Can you share some more details about it, if possible? I mean, what was the role? How did you do it? What was your target?
Okay, so I'll start with my first expedition was in 1998. Once we were in the Indian Military Academy, and that was a disaster. That was a failed expedition. We in fact lost one of our teammates. So it was kind of a setback, because at 22 years of age, you see someone dying in front of you. That was really sad, and that took me time to recover. So 2018, I was sitting in my office. We were posted in Dehradun, and then I saw a letter saying that army is looking for a team leader for Everest. And then by that time, 20 years had spent, no mountaineering, nothing. And but I was also into other adventure sports like rafting and such stuff, triathlons. And then I realized, okay, let me give it a try. As such, I would not be going for Everest if I don't apply. So let me give it a shot. I applied. As luck would have it, I got shortlisted. And then as a team leader, I was selected for Everest, and with zero experience. So then I said to my boss that, okay, if I have to lead Everest, then we'll train properly. And then I did all the courses, basic, advanced, rescue. And then the team was super qualified and super fit. And then we trained again for 1 year close to Siachen, Leh Ladakh, and 1 year completely we were there. And then I was responsible for leading the army team to the top of Everest in 2019.
So how intense are these trainings? What are part of these trainings? And what do you do in these trainings? How does one decide, okay, am I fit enough to climb the Everest or not?
See, that's interesting. By that time, I had spent close to 20 years in the army, right? So fitness obviously was of that level. But army, you don't take any chances. As an ownership, it's all about ownership in the army. As a team leader, you're responsible for all those teammates who are there. And Everest, we all understand, every year there are about 15 to 20 people dying there because of, not training properly and all. And so that's why for 1 year, we were dedicatedly training for that, which meant, my teammates used to come that, they want to go on leave and all. And our thing was clear that, we need to train for this year because we don't want to come back with some injuries like a frostbite, losing amputations or something. And worst case, somebody dying on the mountain. So we trained really intense to the extent that 6 to 8 months we were there in Siachen, base camp, training there and preparing physically so that, by the time the expedition starts, still things could go wrong, but then we would cover as many variables as possible to make sure that, things are right. So we used to have long marches, long runs, 30, 35K, even in snowfall conditions there. and to make sure that we are convinced with our preparations.
So usually when a normal person who's been training for years, who tries to climb mountain, usually takes a help of a Sherpa in Nepal and
Right.
climbs the mountain. When you lead a team of army men, is the process same or is it different?
It's kind of same. Just that once the army team is going, then and the Sherpas also know that they have a strong team, so they don't have to be supporting you as much as they do for a normal person who's not as well prepared. To the extent that in our team there were one or two Sherpas, they are also human beings, so they were not feeling well, but the team members they supported, and then everybody could climb. That's why we had 100% summit without any casualties or any
And
injuries.
how many members were part of this team?
So 14 members climbed, 6 were there at reserves at the base camp, just in case any emergency or something goes wrong.
Right.
Those people would be part of the team.
Right. So can you share more about the organization that you run now? And if I'm not wrong, you are one of the first people to climb all the 7 summits in 2024.
Yeah, that's right. 2024 has been a wonderful year for us. We climbed all the 7 summits, which are highest peaks in all the continents. And apart from that, we explored many other climbs in Kyrgyzstan and other climbs which are not popular otherwise. So 2024, and apart from that, we had multiple climbs like Aconcagua, which is the highest in South America. We climbed twice. Elbrus, which is the highest in Europe. Again, we climbed twice. Kilimanjaro, which is the highest in Africa. We climbed 4 times. So that's how we've been able to make sure that people have options once they want to climb, and there is help available in case people wants to get motivated and climb for the big mountains.
So for our viewers, can you tell the names of all these 7?
Yeah, sure.
So
Boots and Crampons organizes this 7 summits, and the highest one obviously is Everest, which is in Asia, and the highest in Europe is Mount Elbrus, which is 5,642 meters. The highest in South America is in Argentina, called Mount Aconcagua, which we are going again after 2-3 days. The teams are leaving. 9th, the expedition starts. Then we have Denali, which is the highest in North America. The highest in Australia is Kosciuszko. And the highest in Antarctica is Mount Vincent, which was the first time we climbed. Our team climbed just about last month. I think that's it. And so all 7 are covered.
So, how is the summit in Antarctica different from that of Everest? Because Antarctica is a different terrain altogether.
Correct. So Antarctica, it's very cold. Similar Everest is also there. But then the oxygen levels on Everest are very low because of the altitude, right? Once you are at 8,848 meters, the oxygen levels are much less, which is not the case in Antarctica. Antarctica has a different challenge, which is extreme cold, and then you have to pull a sledge. Like the weight and all is more, dependency on the Sherpas is less. So there's a good amount of weight you are carrying behind in a sledge, and you're pulling it and then climbing the mountain, which is not the case on Everest.
You've been part of the army and you've been doing it for so many years. But for a normal person, how do you stay fit in these mountain climbs? Because you fit when you're on the surface,
Right.
but when you're trekking, when you're going up, how do you ensure that you stay fit?
See, for us, it was easy because earlier we had the army background, which made a solid base. And then the way we've been climbing, like for the past 4 years, once I've been part of Boots and Crampons, every month we have done at least 1 climb. And, sometimes more than once, twice, thrice, that way. But yeah, so for us, fitness comes automatically because we've been climbing regularly. But someone who wants to start into mountaineering and all, first is the base level of fitness. You have to assess where you are, right? Because you don't understand how the altitude is going to affect your body. So that's why we recommend people is first build your good base level fitness. Once you feel that, okay, you've been able to train properly for past consistently, let's say 2 to 3 months and 4 to 5 days a week, then you start with the beginner level climbs, which are low on altitude, less number of days, because, it's just not the altitude. You have to sleep in tents, sleeping bags, and it's all uneven. So you're not sleeping on a proper foam mattress, which is there at home. Some stone will be poking somewhere, some rocks. So it becomes difficult, right? So you have to adjust and adapt slowly. You start with 2 to 3 days of climb. Then slowly, once you feel that, okay, this is not a one-time thing, you've started loving it, then you start with the intermediate level of climb. You see how your body performs as regards the altitude and the conditions. And if you're liking the whole experience, then you start with, expert level, super expert, and slowly you build up and see how your body is cooperating and how
Right.
you are feeling.
And what's the food scene otherwise during the climbs? I mean, you can't cook. I mean, at those temperatures, it's almost impossible to
Right.
cook at those temperatures. So, what do people eat? How do they survive?
See, you don't have much options as regards the food is concerned, unlike home wherein you can order whatever and have it. So at simpler basic levels, that's why we said, at the beginner level, you still carry a cook as well as the food. But once it becomes to super expert and big climbs, then you have ready to eat kind of food to start with. And as you increase altitude, then you are dependent more on, let's say, your dry fruits, chocolates, many a times your aloo bhujia and peanut, whatever it is. So anything which you can eat, because on the mountains it's not easy to digest food because you need oxygen, which is again going into maintaining the vital organs.
Right.
So digestion and all becomes a difficult process. So and you don't feel like eating, loss of appetite, vomiting. So those things are very common. So you see what you are able to eat, and then whatever it is, you have got to fill in calories and then survive on those.
And I guess same is the scene for water, because one, you feel less thirsty, but also carrying that amount of water becomes difficult.
Yeah, so you don't carry. What you do is you melt the snow or ice which is there. So you carry as an ice axe. You break the ice, take it in a vessel, burn it with a butane canister cooking system, and then you melt it and drink it. But then, as you said, it's so cold that you don't feel like drinking, but you got to do what you have to do. And the other problem is, the more you drink, you've got to go and pee, and it becomes difficult getting out of a sleeping bag, tent, and in minus 30, minus 40 kind of temperatures to pee. So those things you have to strike a balance how you do it.
Right. So, I mean, just going back a bit, trekking, mountaineering have been always associated with the specific gender, right? Because people think it's a tedious job, only males can do it. What has been your experience? Because now we've been seeing more and more women being participating in it.
Yeah, that's a good one, especially in our culture. Again, there've been more males who were joining earlier, but then just to give you a perspective, our last batch which we did in Kilimanjaro, we had more females than males in the climb. And the oldest lady was 72-year-old climbing to the top of Kilimanjaro, which is big. She's the oldest who has ever been part of our climbs. And the scenario is changing quite a lot. We had a meetup, Delhi community meetup day before, and a rock climbing workshop yesterday in NCR, and there were more women participants than the gents. So that's a very healthy sign, and that's picking up quite a lot in all our climbs.
So, I mean, when you have a diverse team of people who are climbing, both men and women, I mean, how does it work out? How do you ensure proper accommodation, safety, all those issues?
For us, as I'll tell from our perspective, I am from the army, right? Our team journey is on those values only which we have
Yes.
had in the organization. And the people who are joining, they also understand that, they are joining a company like that wherein we are strict on discipline, acclimatization, and our schedules, punctuality, all those aspects. So generally, there have not been any instances wherein somebody has tried to misbehave or anything. And other thing is, in the mountains don't know whether you are a male, a female, you're a 70-year-old or a 12-year-old. So everything is same, right? So sharing and all in tents, if it is possible, yeah, it happens. But then generally, it's okay on big climbs and all. Like in our climb we did last month a very technical climb in Nepal, which was called Amadablam. So Amadablam, there's very less space on the mountain for the tents and all. So we were 5 people sleeping in one tent, which included me, my Sherpa, 2 ladies, and another guy from Mumbai. So all 5, somebody's elbow hitting each other, somebody's knee getting into each other. So that happens, So,
Right.
And everybody understands that it's okay, because as we said, on the mountains, there is no gender bias.
Right.
It's all same.
So, I mean, how do you recover from such climbs? You've done a climb for 10 days and then you come back. How do you recover from it? Because it strains your body, right?
Correct. So, like me and my partner, both are very fond of sleep. So the moment we are back, 1 or 2 days it takes for us to recover from the sleep deprivation which has happened because of the climbs and all. So sleep, we are a big fan, and we don't compromise at all. So we'll sleep whatever time we get, and then wake up again, no alarms, nothing. That is one. Then we cancel all the parties. So there are no parties which are happening once I am at home. So all the family and every member knows that all my meetups, if we have to meet a group of friends, we tell them, okay, let's meet for a coffee maximum, but then dinner and all we'll have at home. So that helps because we are having only home cooked food. Outside, whenever we're going, it's just maximum for coffee. So all homemade food, all home cooked, well in time, and a good amount of rest. That is one. And then, generally we don't travel much because you're missing so much from the home front once you're outside climbing.
Right.
So once you're home, you want to spend quality time at home only.
If I understand rightly, good food,
Yeah,
calorie-rich food, proper nutrition-rich food,
correct.
also helps in recovering, not just preparing you for the
Yes.
climb, right? So that's one part of it. But I mean, if you are here, okay, you've recovered from the trek.
Right.
What after that? Because once you're in the habit of trekking, you have to keep sure that your habit doesn't go.
Yeah, correct.
So how do you prepare yourself for the next one while you're staying in a city like Delhi?
So in our case, what has happened is that my daughters, I have two daughters. So since they see the family into mountaineering and all, they also climb quite often. And apart from that, they are my younger one is again into fitness. She runs regularly. She's part of the school athletics team. So every day evening she has to go out for a training session, which is 400-meter track. Even she is participating. So once I'm home, I take this responsibility of taking her to the class. So once she's going for the runs and all, so I also go and run for that duration, about 1.5 hours. And at times, we sprint together because the coach is also happy. Some parent is participating. Other kids are also happy. So we run together, spend more time together, and that way we stay fit as well. And she also follows a good nutrition plan because her coach also keeps pumping her that, you go eat good food, healthy food, vegetables, fruits and all. So that's why the whole atmosphere is towards the fitness which happens.
Right. So now going back to a bit serious topic, we've read in the newspapers and everybody follows all these expeditions that we call have also become very what do I say? It's leaving an impact on the environment and climate.
Right.
Right. So how do you make sure that your climbs are environment friendly? Because you carry a lot of stuff in.
Right.
But sometimes people tend to just leave the stuff and come back. How do you make sure that it doesn't happen?
See, Pranjal, that's a very important point. And since we are on the mountain so regularly, we see how the things are happening on the mountains, right? And it's a very serious problem. In Delhi, we still not realize it because, it's not affecting directly that way. But on the mountains, we see the difference. For example, we were climbing in Russia this year on Mount Everest. And every year we go, we see the snow line receding. Similarly, on the Siachen, we could see that, snout is the point from where the glacier starts, for the climb and for the mountains. And that's been receding time and again. Every time we go, we see that, the snow line is going further and further away. Which also means there's been lot of rock falls which are happening. Rocks which were earlier held up because of the ice. Over there. Because of global warming, it's melting and rock falls and all are becoming a big nuisance and disaster for the teams which are going. However hard I may try to, implement the same in our teams, I'm not convinced that we are doing good enough. Like, we keep briefing the teams that, be very safe on the mountain, make sure whatever you're carrying, you get it back. And we have proper disposal systems wherein the teams get the stuff back. But our standard of, maintaining all these things is nowhere close to what should be the thing. For example, again, we were climbing in Denali, which is the highest in North America. And the system there is, whatever you're not using for the further climbs, you can just keep it inside the snow, buried, and then you can move forward, and on your way back, you can collect it. Same, right? So we dug up it, we kept it inside, and then we moved forward. The very next day, the rangers over there, they came to us saying that, the thing which you had dug, that was not deep enough, and we had to pay a penalty of 75,000. And that was, knowing fully well that we had to dig deep and all, because our standard of cleanliness and their standard of cleanliness is completely different. And that's why once you're over there, you won't find even a single wrapper. You won't even believe that, somebody has climbed there before. So cleanliness in our perspective is very different and very low standards compared to what is expected from other people. For example, again, I'll give you another example. We were climbing in Kilimanjaro. We had good team from the US, India, and other places, which means everybody was well educated, right? And even after briefing them, once you are on big climbs, you're not able to breathe, because the oxygen levels are less. And then you don't want to keep all those wrappers and all because you feel that, all this is weighing on you.
Weighing on you, yes.
And in spite of telling all those things, we could see that, they sat at one place, had their packed meals, and everything was thrown over there, littered, knowing fully well that, but as we said, once you are at those levels, you are more on survival rather than this, so you tend to ignore, which of course is not right. But yeah, still a lot needs to be desired. And on our point, we keep doing things, for example, like the Everest base camp, Nepal is what they've introduced us. Once you're returning from there, they have those volunteer stations.
Okay.
Wherein everybody can carry, let's say 1 kg to 7, 8, 10 kgs, whatever you want to carry on a way back, and deposit it at the nearest village. And slowly we want to implement the same in our teams, wherein we give them a dry waste kind of a thing bag, so that people pick it up once they're going on the mountain and get it back. So a lot is desired. Slowly we are going there, but still far off.
So, as you have said that every year the amount of snow or the ice you see, it's reducing.
Correct.
It's a very interesting perspective because, we only hear and talk about or read about climate change, but you've seen it firsthand.
Right.
How does it impact your planning also for the future? Because, the less snow, it's more riskier, right?
Yes. Yeah, so our climbs, we see that, the season which was there, let's say May, June is there. Now, June last year, there was heavy amount of rainfall in Manali. So there were landslides and also the window is shrinking for the climbs. So we need to make sure that, we distribute the teams accordingly, knowing fully well that, this is not the season, the monsoon is getting delayed, or, the snowfall or the rainfall is becoming more and more pertinent. So we need to manage the teams properly, and apart from that, make sure the teams are properly geared, like helmets and all. If they have to wear, they have got to wear, proper helmets, good quality ones, so that in case of a rockfall, because the way we discussed, which is happening quite often, they are, well secured. And the training also, that before they are starting, they've got to make sure that, they are maintaining proper gaps between the team members, and the training aspect also takes that into consideration.
So, if I talk infrastructure wise, is there any support otherwise from the government? Does the government encourage to do such things more? Because, in the end, for example, in Nepal, the economy runs on Everest climbs, right? A major part of it, their revenue comes from it. So, are there something similar initiatives in India also from the government?
Unfortunately not. At least we have not seen it firsthand. We may have read it on the newspaper or magazines, but firsthand we have not seen anything coming from the government side. Yeah, the teams and all are much aware. Like once we go to Ladakh, we do a lot of climbs there. We see the locals there, they're very passionate, because for them, they keep briefing to the teams as well that, our bread and butter is from the mountains. So if we don't maintain it, then obviously, it's going to trouble the whole economy. So that's why from them, there's been a lot of initiatives which are happening. But then from the government side, we don't see anything directly coming.
So you've been to so many places. Has there been any, you realize that, here's this village which needs our help, or here's this place which needs our help. Are there some environmental projects that you've worked on while trekking, or you recognize, we need to put more effort in this place so that an infrastructure is created for future teams to come and do their things more easily?
No, frankly, we have not done any such things. We would want to, but what we have done is we have supported the locals in other perspectives. Like in Tanzania, we have got a school wherein we keep going, providing facilities to them. Maybe football and gears and all other stuff. Our teams, whoever are going, they're supporting them, but then not from the environment perspective. Nothing.
Right. So, can you shed more light on something similar like you talked about Tanzania? Have you done something similar for other places also?
No, we have tried to educate other team members. Like, there was a point wherein we went to a place in Kargil. There was a big mountain we were climbing, And then we realized the previous team which had been to the mountain, they had, spread so much of muck there that, it was unbelievable. A lot of dirt was there. So we spoke to the team leader, explained the things which were there, and we collected all that garbage and handed over to them. And they understood that, somebody has to come back after they have gone. So those aspects we keep doing and keep informing that, these are the things which should not be happening.
Right. So, I mean, one big impact you've had from any of these climbs, okay? One climb that has changed your perspective from, say, it has taken from north to south or east to west. It's completely changed.
See, Pranjal, there's been a lot of experiences from all the climbs because, as I was mentioning, last 4 years, every month we've been climbing.
Right.
And every climb has about 10 to 15 stories coming up, a lot of things. But yeah, coming on to Everest, that was a turning point. Reason being, once we were on Everest, it was the day we climbed was 22nd of May. We were on top of Everest 2019. And if you remember, that was the first time wherein that famous traffic jam picture was there, wherein,
Yes.
the whole queue is standing.
Yes.
So how it happened was, we were returning, we being from the army, we were much stronger, obviously that's what the army team is supposed to be. So while climbing up, we realized there were a lot of people, right? And on the Everest, you don't just climb, you have to climb on a rope because on the safety reasons, and there's just one rope. We were climbing, and while climbing, because of the strength, we could overtake people and reach the top. Once we made it to the summit, all happy, everyone, clicking pictures and all. And then there was a time to return back. Now for returning, again, the same rope you have to take. And by the time we started returning, there were a lot of people on the same queue, as we may say, on the rope. And initially we thought, okay, we'll let them come over because we have achieved our summit. These people have to come up. They also have worked so hard, right? So we were waiting, and there was a point wherein we spent 45 minutes there waiting for the people to come, and it was a endless number of people coming up. What happened in the bargain was we didn't realize that even once we were waiting for those people to come, we were consuming the oxygen which was there.
Right.
And everything there is rationed. You cannot have endless supply, right? Because it's from a cylinder. And there was a point when we realized that, the levels of oxygen in the cylinder was reducing. And the number was, the people were climbing up and up. And then we had to make our way because nobody listens there, right? Everybody has, they've spent so much of training, vacations and, being there. And then we realized we had to jostle our way, fighting, physically making our way down. And we were doing that. And there was a point wherein I realized the oxygen cylinder I had spent. Now, without oxygen on Everest, you are just a dead body, right? You can't do anything. You cannot remove the mask. Because there is no oxygen, and outside the oxygen levels, your body is not tuned to that. You've been using oxygen for long. And then that was the time I realized I was close to God, both physically as well as, really. So that was challenging. And what happened was, before we started the climb, we had taken the blessings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and he had given a thread to all the team members saying, blessings. Somehow I had this belief that, if I'm wearing that thread, I have the blessings of His Holiness, so nothing will go wrong. It's just a belief, right? It could be anything. So I kept on that belief that, things will be fine and all. And suddenly there was one team member of ours, super strong, again, army guy. He had a spare cylinder with some oxygen left. So he came and he said, what's wrong? And I told him that, everything is, kind of done. And suddenly he came out, gave his cylinder, and the moment you take the oxygen back again, you're back into that survival thing. And I attribute it to pure destiny because, there were so many people. It's difficult to recognize who's yours because everybody's wearing a similar down suit, mask, goggles, nothing is visible. Still, that guy came as an angel and gave me the cylinder, and it was near-death experience. And once you have those kind of experiences, I've had early experiences close to death as well earlier, you believe more into destiny rather than, training or any other aspect. So those things really shape you perspective in life.
So, let me be very brute here and ask you something. People think that when they're on these expeditions and climbings, money can buy everything, right? Is it the case?
Not really, because the day you need your, the day things go wrong, nothing can help you. It's just your own inner self, like training and all. Once you are at lower levels, good oxygen, everybody is fit and all, everything is fine. That's what we tell our team members also, that we are not training you for Everest on a good day. On a good day, anybody can, maybe with a bit of training, can do it. But once the things turn south, weather is not supporting, you're not feeling well, that is the time you got to train for. So money and all is fine. Once you are at a lower altitude, everybody will pitch your tents, tie your shoelaces, help you in climbing. But the day you need it most, there's no one who is going to be around you. It's your training, your discipline, and your resilience which will push you. You have got to do it on your own. That time no Sherpa, no money is going to help, and it's just what you have done in your past in training that is going to help you.
So a lot of these climbs also come at a human cost. We've heard about people losing lives, and to a point that where their dead bodies are also not being brought back. How does it impact you mentally, psychologically? I mean, I'm sure you would have, if you have witnessed any such thing from your eyes.
Yeah, we've witnessed a lot. So the first time, I'll give you an example. Like we were climbing on Everest. Being a team leader, I was leading, my team was behind. We were tied to a rope, climbing up. And we saw one guy sitting en route, tied to that rope again, because nobody leaves the rope. And I went up to him and I asked him, saying that, if you sit for long, the body is going to eat itself. Body will shut down basically. And there was no reply. I asked him again, no reply. Somebody tells me from behind, this guy has been sitting there for 3 days. So this guy sat down, never got up, because, he's over altitude. Now, everybody is going on Everest, understand that there are about 200 bodies on the Everest, not decomposed because of the conditions. Reading one thing and seeing firsthand is two different things, as you said. So, first time it hits you because it could have been you, right? It's not that this guy, he was also ambitious, he also wanted to climb, and you could have been in a similar situation, right? So, first time it hits you, but then once you see those things again and again, your training and army training again prepares you for such things, because we were part of the Kargil war. That time we had close encounters with quite a few classmates losing their lives and all. So for us, it was still not easy I would say, but then okay to have this feeling. But yeah, it impacts quite a lot. But then once you go through that thing again and again, like on different mountains, different things, then you understand that, okay, if it is meant to be you, then it will happen. If it is not, then you are safe.
My final question. A lot of people nowadays who want to go on treks, climbs, want to pursue mountaineering as a career, or train people in that aspect. What would be your advice for them?
In present world, you're right. Mountaineering, if you want to go for the money part, that's not the place for you, right? But generally what we see these days, the younger generation, they are more into experiences rather than running after money and all, right? That's a different thing. As regards your sense of achievement, purpose driven, it's immensely satisfying. Nothing can beat that, right? Because if you want to do something from your heart, then this is the thing which can relate, But then if you're going to earn money or, get a swanky BMW or Mercedes, this is not the place. If you want a personal satisfaction and purpose in life, this is it.
Thank you, Romil, for giving us your time and talking to us about your adventures. And I'm sure people would love this conversation and get inspired by you. Thanks a lot, Romil.
Thank you so much, Pranjal, for inviting me, and great work you're doing. How I wish we could do more on this. We are going there, but then, one step at a time, and I'm sure we'll reach somewhere.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.